So I got a brand new car. It's not brand new, it's a 2014. I'm so thrilled about it, and I am actually at the mechanic right now. So I can get Freon added and a multi-point inspection to check it out and see. Hopefully it's a decent car. I already bought it. And I'm waiting for the Lyft driver who's going to bring me back that they're providing, which is great because I thought I was going to have to walk home for 35 minutes. It's pretty damn hot. So it's a very busy street. I wanted to talk about this juror who came forward supposedly in the Karen Reed trial and my thoughts about that. So they made it sound like 3 jurors came forward, but actually 1 came forward. And then I feel like it's kind of shady and I don't trust it. My first thought is no, it's too late. You should have filled out the verdict forms when you had the chance while you were doing the deliberation. This after the fact shit is not going to fly, in my opinion. Now I'm home. It is so amazing, like, having a car. So the place that I went to, I'm opening my curtain over here. The place that I went to, it's 7 minutes to drive there. Hold on. Whoops. A 7-minute drive or a 35-minute walk. You know, adding a couple minutes for, like, waiting for the light and stuff. But, so I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to, I'll just walk home and then I'll pay for an Uber or whatever on the way back. You know, I was like, I don't want to pay for 2 Ubers. I don't want to walk. Both ways, it's literally 90 degrees outside already. And it's not even noon. Well, it is noon now. But wow, it's like, I was expecting that to take me, I was expecting to be out walking, sweating my arse off. And instead, I'm home already. And I am also just so thrilled that now that I have a car, you know, obviously I have to take care of it and I've got to do all the things that I didn't do with Judy Jetson. And this car is a 2014. Judy Jetson was a 2004. So this is 10 years newer of a car than my last one. And it's 10 years old instead of 18 years old. So it's at the mechanic right now getting checked. And hopefully it'll be good news, like nothing major. Like that's what happened the last time I went there. I brought my car. I had it for a year. I had never taken it to get checked, to get oil change, nothing, which was my bad, my idiotness, my just not knowing how to take care of my car. Like, didn't have anybody telling me. Like, I was ignorant and I regretted it. But at the same time, that car was... my brother-in-law has it and he says he's going to fix it. But anyway, I'm much happier with this car and I hope I'll still be happy after I hear back from the mechanic. So, you know, kind of got off on a tangent about my car. And I do want to talk about my thoughts about... Supposedly there's this juror who came forward to say that they actually, while they were deliberating, they were unanimous on not guilty for second-degree murder, not guilty of leaving the scene of a fatal crime, but guilty or split. They were split on count number 2, which was, so count number 1 was second-degree murder, that she hit him with her car on purpose. The second charge is vehicular manslaughter with a DUI, meaning she hit him with her car while she was drunk, but may or may not have known about it, which is what the third charge was to cover, leaving the scene of a fatal crime, which would have meant that she knew about it. So the first charge is you did this on purpose. The second charge is you did this. You hit him with your car while you were drunk. And the third charge is you did this and you knew it and you left him there. So supposedly, according to this juror, they were unanimous on not guilty that she did it on purpose and not guilty that she left the scene of a fatal crime, meaning she didn't know it, but they were hung 8-4 supposedly on the second charge that she actually did hit him with her car while she was drunk. But which way was the split? Don't know. Was it 8 not guilty, 4 guilty, or was it the other way? Is that even accurate? So I watched Peter Tragos and his dad, Papa Tragos, George, talk about it. And then I watched Emily D. Baker talk about it. And my first thought was what Emily also, I had my thoughts, and then I heard Emily saying it, that like basically the cat's out the bag. The cat's out the bag. Like, trial is over. They have been dismissed. They've been out in the world. They've been talking to friends. They've been looking at social media. They've been watching the news. They've been reading articles. They've been posting on Facebook. It's no longer the hermetically sealed thing that it was during trial and deliberation. So the after the fact, like, well, we would have said not guilty if you'd asked us. Well, they did ask you, and you had a form to fill out. And the thing that I find really bizarre is that the note that Judge Cannone read was that they were deeply divided, and that some people were completely convinced that the Commonwealth had proved their case, and others were deeply convinced otherwise, and that trying to go back and change each other's mind would be futile. So where in there does it say, however, we're completely 100% unanimous on counts 1 and 3. It's just we're deeply divided on count 2. So some people are saying if Judge Cannone had known that, then, that's obviously a problem, which of course it would have been a problem. Like, so basically the defense is saying that they need to drop counts 1 and 3 because it was a unanimous verdict against them. But they didn't say it. So Emily pointed out, Judge Cannone read the note, but she never said, like, let me have your verdict forms. So, and then people are like, oh my God, she talked to them afterward, and both Peter and Emily said that's totally normal. That's what judges do. And they say, these are your rights, and thank you for your service. And Peter was saying that it's an elected position, so there's a little bit of schmoozing as well, and it's not about like, tell me what you voted. Oh, and both of them also said there may be issues with polling a jury when they're split. It's one thing when they're unanimous and you poll them to make sure everybody's unanimous, but when they're split, Emily was pointing out, it's actually illegal to question them about the deliberation process, and there's a lot of protections around that process, and so that this is going to be very difficult to try to dissect and expose the deliberation process, because that is like sacred and protected. So I just feel like, and then she also pointed out, even if they were to get what they wanted, the result would be a new trial. So it's kind of like, at this point, she said, as long as this is being held up, and if Judge Cannone says, no, I'm not going to drop it, then it can go to an appeal. And Emily said that could hang up in an appeal for so long, and they cannot recharge her on the same charges while she's got those charges hanging in an appeal. So what I wonder is this really just tactics? Because 2 of the supposed 3 was not even direct. It was like a friend of a friend of a friend who told the lawyer. And I just feel like that's just such ick. It doesn't feel right. It's like somebody trying to, like, after the fact, after you lost a game, you're trying to like get a few points taken away from the other team. Like, you're like, no, the ref called it wrong and that point shouldn't have been there. But it's like the game is over. Why are you, like, I don't know. I don't like it. It doesn't feel right to me. It feels really sleazy and queasy and wrong. But anyway, I'm happy I got a car. I can't wait. I hope it's all good. And I'll see. Alrighty, so I'm back from the dealership. These are my new pillows that I bought in part for the car. I bought a few so I could decorate, and I couldn't quite decide, so I got this set, Montessera leaves, super cute. The car is blue with a cream color inside. And I thought the first car I was gonna get was gonna be white, but then that lady was a freaking idiot. So pretty, not the best news about the car. It needs all this work, but it's drivable. And there was a white one with a pink center, but it's in the bedroom. It's this one. So they actually came like vacuum sealed, and they were so flat, and you had to put them in the dryer. Some sound, and they fluffed up pretty good. So I'm gonna put a couple in the back seat of the car, and then maybe these can go in the front. I don't know. Maybe keep one in the house, couple in the house. Anyway. These are super cute, and I do like them. So, of course, I'm disappointed that the car is not in better shape, but it's not completely dead, but it's definitely going to need work soon. And so that's disappointing, but at the same time, and then I call it's like, it wasn't like an official dealer, it's like a private dealer, so and he was like, it's a used car, if you want to bring it and I'll give you your money back, fine. He was being pretty much a jerk, and I was like, oh, so you're not as helpful as you were making it sound, during the sale. And then my mom was like, they're liars, they tell you whatever. And so anyway, I'm not completely disappointed. I mean, it is a decent car. The dealership said, the actual dealership, so I bought it from this private dealership, and then I took it to a Subaru dealership to get a multi-point inspection. And so unlike when I took it to that same place with the 2002 Subaru Outback, and they were like, you shouldn't even drive this home, it's literally leaking, the engine is leaking, the gas tank is leaking, there's all these issues. And I drove it home that day, and it just stayed there until a week ago when my brother-in-law took it. But anyway, so that was that, kind of a disappointing turnout. But so I really wanted to talk more about Karen Reed and the jury. So maybe I'll just save this and let this be its own standalone, and then I'll come back and I'll talk about Karen Reed. Oh, and I'll just finish off with goodbye, my lovely peaches. Thank you. I hope that you're having a great day. You can join me on lovedreamingpeach.com, where you can see my video collection. You can see some art that I'm going to be selling. I have to put new videos and pictures. And I have my insight coaching link there. I have my blog. My vegan blog is linked there. So you can join me there. And also linked is my Facebook, my Twitter, my TikTok, my Instagram, and YouTube. So join me there. See you. So in my tiny kitchen, it's very hot in here, and I'm trying to make some dinner. And I want to talk about a little bit more about my thoughts about the Karen Reed so-called jurors supposedly coming forward. All right, it's time for some lemon seltzer in my lemon mug with my glass straw. Well, it's so freaking hot that the seltzer's not even cold yet. So, let me continue with my thoughts. All right, so apparently they're trying to make it sound like 3 jurors came forward, but it was really only 1 juror who came forward directly to the defense attorney, Alan Jackson. Then another person who's completely unrelated to the case, not related to any juror, not friends with a juror, made a Facebook post about the case and then someone who I guess either knows or follows that person commented to that person, and then they text messaged that person screenshots of a text message chain that they had with a juror. Okay, so I'm so hot and sweaty. So I'm wondering, like, did I get a shadow ban? Because look at my page. It went from getting this many views to this many views to this. Like, what? How does it go from blasting hundreds of views to nothing? Like, that does not seem organic to me. And that video was called "It Could Have Happened." The car could have nudged him, according to Dr. Rentschler. So, weird. Weird that a video that was getting hundreds of views, almost 1,000 views in one day, suddenly dropped to 4 views in the last 24 hours. So it got almost 1,000 views in a 24-hour clip, and then it dropped down to 5 views. So that's weird to me. Okay, so as far as this supposed bombshell, so person B posts something on Facebook. Then person A reaches out to person B saying, "Hey, I'm friends with a juror." So supposedly a juror had texted person A things about, "We were unanimous on the first charge, which was second-degree murder, and unanimous on the third charge, both for not guilty," the third charge being leaving the scene of a fatal crime, and that they were supposedly split on the second charge, which was vehicular manslaughter with a DUI. Okay, so supposedly person A is texting person B screenshots of a text exchange between a juror and person A. And then person B, so Peter was saying it sounded like person B then sent it to person C, and then person C sent it to the defense attorneys. So it's like 2 or 3 degrees of separation. Sure, Jan. I don't know. I'm just feeling like that just feels very far from the proper procedure. If 12 people were unanimous on counts 1 and 3, I find it very hard to believe that not one single juror spoke up and said, "But wait a second, we were unanimous that she's not guilty of second-degree murder, and we're unanimous that she didn't leave the scene of a fatal crime knowing it." Okay, so the foreperson should have said it, or any other juror, or the defense should have spoke up. So Peter Tragos' dad wondered, is the person who made the original Facebook post a journalist who's fishing for a story? And also, if the jurors themselves were actually unanimous and they had all agreed, it seems to me that they or some of them would speak out. Maybe they will. Maybe they will come forward and say, yes, actually, we were unanimous that she was not guilty of first-degree murder and that she didn't leave the scene of the crime. The defense claimed that they had no time to speak, and yet they did have time. And they were also the ones who had asked that the judge read out the Tui Rodriguez charge, which was essentially like a push to say, try to come up with a verdict. So Judge Cannoni apparently has sealed the jurors' names for their privacy and protection. And, I don't know if she will decide that she can poll them afterward. I feel like the reason she didn't poll them, during is probably going to hold true as the same reason why she wouldn't poll them afterward. Especially now that the seal has been broken, the, you know, the sterility of the trial, which, you know, it's not really sterile, but as much as can be, the fact that these jurors were day in and day out focused on this, and we're supposed to not be reading external sources of information, media, social media, etc., speaking to each other or speaking to anybody. And I just find it super unprofessional to come out after the fact, and it just feels like more of this bullshit shenanigans from the defense, to be honest. It just feels like, did they not ask for a poll, or did they not push for clarification? Did they not at least not ask for a poll, but say, Judge, can we poll the jury to see if they were unanimous on any of the 3 charges? Like, is this really all Judge Cannoni's doing? Like Emily D. Baker said, is this how Judge Cannoni, always does it if there's a hung jury? Did she do something different than her usual, or is this her usual? And they also said that it may be the practice that if there's a hung jury, they don't poll the jurors. And so she very well may have done absolutely everything correct and nothing wrong, at least according to the procedures and the laws, that the way they practice it there in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So my lay person opinion is going to be that the judge is not going to dismiss those charges, because I believe she will say something like, they had the opportunity to mark not guilty on the verdict form when they were deliberating. They had the opportunity to speak up and say, we are unanimous for not guilty on counts 1 and 3. However, their note that she read made it sound like they were deeply divided. So is there more information that Judge Cannoni knew that wasn't made public? Did something go wrong? Was there some problems? I know that people are saying it was confusing. Everything was confusing. The jury form was confusing. Was it more confusing or less confusing after the defense got it to change? Did what they do to the jury form make it even more confusing? Why didn't anybody fill it out? Why did they fill it out? Does every juror get their own form that they individually fill out and then they hand back a stack? Or is there like one jury form that the foreperson is filling out for everybody? Like, what's the process here? What's the procedure? It does feel like it was kind of left unresolved. She said mistrial. She said hung jury. And again, if there's like the sanctity and the protection of the deliberation process that cannot be, taken apart and exposed, then is there anything that they can do? It's too late. To me, I feel like it's too late, and y'all need to do this in the next trial, because it's over. It's over. So, it's like when I put out a video, I did the edits, I processed it, and I put it out, and then it uploaded. And sometimes I literally take the shit down because I'm like, fuck, I forgot something, and then I have to like add that and do the whole thing. But sometimes I'm like, it's up, it's done. I can't pull it.
At lovedreamingpeach.com.
Carl Steinbeck right now. And he really didn't watch the trial.
How they could have 0 to 12. So I do think there should be some kind of evidentiary hearing by the judge, and the judge should open it up and see if in fact it was a 0 to 12 vote of not guilty. And if that is the case, and I hope they do the right thing and correct that error because of a verdict form. So it remains to be seen. A lot of judges want to kick the can to the appellate courts, not be the one to do something that's going to unravel a case. But here we have an actual absolute mistrial, and so rather than have a mistrial in that second-degree murder charge, it would make sense if they would just look at it, and assuming it is panning out and all the jurors confirm this, then go ahead and make the right decision and look at this as like a clerical type error that's easily fixed.
So I just wanted to finish the video up by saying that, of course, if it's true that all the jurors were unanimous on not guilty for count 1 and not guilty for count 2, then they really should have marked that down. They should have noted it. It should have been made known, and the judge should have calculated that into the verdict. So again, I said a lot of stuff about I feel like it's super inappropriate, unprofessional, not the way procedures should be done, and I find it bizarre that this is happening. How could this even happen? And maybe it really is true. If it really comes down to the fact that it is true and all the jurors unanimously say yes, that is accurate, that is what happened, then it definitely needs to be addressed. And I wouldn't even be surprised, to be honest. I'm not surprised, because that was exactly what I had come away with. I absolutely don't think that she did it on purpose, or if she did, they certainly didn't prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. They barely scratched the surface of even beginning to lay down the groundwork of a maybe, in my opinion. I mean, I got far enough to be like, oh my God, diabolical Karen Reed. She was cheating and lying or trying to cheat and all this stuff. But then it was like, but did that add up to murder? They never proved what I felt beyond a reasonable doubt, that those text messages, once they played the voicemails that she left and they read out the Facebook arguments and stuff, I was like, this is the bombshell? Poof, no. I'm not getting murder from this. But I felt like she did hit him with her car. And then I was like, did she know she hit him? Did she hit him on purpose? I don't think so. Why would she do that? She had nothing to gain from that. Did she hit him by accident because she was drunk and not know that? That seemed believable to me. Did she hit him on purpose, or did she hit him and know it and left him there? That didn't seem so possible, because she was leaving those voicemails on his phone saying, I hate you, John, you pervert, because she thought he was cheating on her with another woman. Again, like I said, she's obviously unhinged, not a healthy person. But again, not a healthy person who's unhinged, who's super jealous, who drinks too much, who maybe killed a man with her car by accident, is not the same ball game as somebody who's an intentional murderer. So I love Carl Steinbeck. He mostly talks about Wendy Adelson and the Adelson trial, and he's a lawyer, and I respect his opinion very much. So if it's all within the legal realm of righteousness for them to poll the jury after the fact to find out if it's true, to remedy the situation, if it really is just a clerical error because that is what they voted but they just didn't mark it down, then of course I don't believe that she should be recharged. If they actually agreed unanimously that she's not guilty of second-degree murder and not guilty of leaving the scene of a fatal crime, then they should absolutely acquit her on those charges. And Carl was saying he thinks it was 8-4 not guilty, but Emily D. Baker and Peter Dragos had said they never said which way it leaned. So, although I would think that if it was unanimous not guilty on counts 1 and 3, that those people would be more likely to think, no, she didn't hit him at all. But, will we find out? Are we going to find out? Were there 4 people who were convinced that she did hit him somehow? Or were there 8 people who were convinced? I think that it's probably more like 4 thought she did it. So what will Judge Cannoni do? Today is July 9th. It's Tuesday, July 9th. And on Monday, July 22nd, which is in 2 weeks from now, just about minus a day, they will be having a hearing. That was the date that they scheduled at the end of the trial, and Judge Cannoni was like, okay, what's your schedules? And they like really couldn't get to it, and they finally they made it 2:00 on this day, and that's also the same day that Alec Baldwin is supposed to be starting. And does Sarah Boone have a hearing that day? No. Somebody else. I don't remember, but so Emily D. Baker had said the judge could address it on July 22nd. She could address it at a later date, a separate hearing. It's up to the judge. So I'm sure the judge is going to be scouring the law and the precedents and figure out what are her resources, what are the legal guidelines, what is she supposed to do. And I'm curious if there'll be any further investigationings into, like, was the trial corrupt? I mean, I think she did a pretty good job, and although a lot of people feel like she was super biased, I didn't feel that way. The things that people were pointing out, like, oh, she says this, and she, she's like, I'll let him have it, or, she, instead of saying overruled, I'll give him that. And then sometimes she'll just outright ask, when they're like objection, and then she'll be like, can you answer that? So her style was not, conventional maybe, but it was certainly consistent. And she certainly, in my view, did that evenly across the board. It did not seem like she was being one way with one side and another way with another side. I felt that she was just being herself across the board. But we'll see how it all unfolds and pans out. And yeah, there's other cases coming up, and I got other stuff going on, and it is interesting. It's also frustrating, and it's just like Carl said, it's just a big confusing mess. It's just a big whole mess from the day that it happened till now, 2.5 years later. It's a big old confusing mess. And I'm tired. I had a long day today. Went to the mechanic, took a lift back, went back to the mechanic in a lift, then dropped my kid off at his friend's, took my other kid to the store, went back and picked my kid up from his friends, then went back to his second store, and I saved $46 today, because normally those two stores that I would go to, I would be paying like $23 in fees and tip to get the shit delivered. So I have work to do on my car. I'm sad about that. It's a used car. I'm going to have to save up and get some things done. But I'm thrilled to have a car. I'm so thrilled that, I'm up-leveling bit by bit. And hopefully my YouTube channel will not be shadow banned, and people will be able to see this video. So those are my thoughts. And, it's kind of like 6 of that, half a dozen of this, and it could be true, and it could be totally legitimate, or it could be more wild tactics to stall and confuse. So I feel like there's a lot of stalling, confusion, and wild tactics in this trial. All right, guys, see you in the next one. Don't forget to join me on catlovedreamingpeach.com, and I'll see you later. Bye.
catlovedreamingpeach.com. catlovedreamingpeach.com.